All right, back for another beer review, and today I'm reviewing a beer from the Smuttynose Brewing Company, and they're out of Hampton, New Hampshire, and this is their really old brown dog. So this is an old ale that I believe is brewed with port-soaked oak chips, at least according to their website. Comes in 11.1% alcohol by volume, 34 IBUs, and at the time of review, I don't know exactly how old this is, but there's a bottled on date that has pretty much been smudged off here. I just can see 2018. Now, I picked this up pretty much in the last month or so, so I can't see this being older than 6 months old. It could be, but I doubt it. It was probably brewed at the end of 2018. So we're going to say no older than 6 months old, which is fine. It's an old ale. And yeah, so Smuttynose, I've reviewed a few beers from them on the channel. And funny enough, it's two of their sours, which they're not really known for. I kind of grew up in craft beer, drinking Smuttynose beers. And I want to review some of their like old standbys, like their Finest Kind IPA and their Robust Porter. Problem is, in my area, we don't get a lot of distribution of their older stuff. A lot of their New England style IPAs and their sours show up. This one just showed up recently, but I'm hoping to find their Finest Kind IPA or their Robust Porter at some point, because those are two beers that kind of got me into craft beer to a certain degree. Finest Kind was one of the first IPAs I really enjoyed, and the Robust Porter I think is one of the best, just straight up American porters basically in the US. But when I saw this, I was like, I haven't had this in like 6 or 7 years. I think last time I had this was 2012, 2013. Now, this has changed quite a bit, like ABV wise. I remember the one I had was right like 10.1, something like that. So this is 11.1. And I don't remember this being brewed with port-soaked oak chips. It says that on the website. I'm going to trust the website. And it says it in a couple places on tap. But yeah, I was like, I don't remember that being, I thought that was like maybe a variant or something, but apparently not. So this is 11.1% old ale. And yeah, I remember enjoying this one quite a bit. But again, I haven't had it in 6 or 7 years, and it's time to give it another go. So yeah, anyway, let's give this a pour. See what we got going on here. Now, I will say that this has been out of the fridge. I know, Paul, I know. Fridge? This has been out of the fridge for about an hour, so we're talking almost room temperature, 60, 65. That's beautiful. That is a beautiful looking, like deep copper into like mahogany color. There's quite a bit of carbonation, but I believe this Allagash glass has a etching at the bottom that kind of promotes the carbonation. Has about a half finger of a tan head. Looks relatively creamy, but it's small, so you can't really tell. But anyway, yeah, that looks beautiful. It doesn't have like the murkiness that I want from an old ale. I know Matt over Massive Beer Reviews, he's mentioned that before. This also has very fine sediment here. I was going to say very fine sediment. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this doesn't have the murkiness that I'd want from an old ale, but whatever. Looks can be deceiving. Let's get a nose. Yeah, it smells actually pretty nice. If I was doing this blind, I would say there's some kind of like port barrel, and maybe not port barrel, but some kind of spirit in here. There's definitely some, it's like a vinous note to this one. I would maybe guess like red wine or something. But like old ales for me, all about like that deep caramel, toffee, molasses, treacle, you know, darker fruits and whatnot. And that's what this has. Big caramel and toffee vibes to this one. Shout out to Matt once again, like a sugar daddy note. It just has a lot of like deep, rich, decadent sweetness to it, like you'd expect from an old ale. It smells really nice, super malt heavy. I mean, right on the label, it says a malt-rich old ale. Yeah, I mean, that's what old ales are. They're all about the malt character. That's what you expect. No bitterness to speak of. And I will say this right now, at 11.1%, let me make sure it says 11.1% here on the bottle. Do they even have the ABV? Of course they don't. Why would they? You know, these breweries in the ABV, so I'll just guess. No, it says 11.1 everywhere I looked, but yeah, this does not smell like 11.1. Wow, it smells really nice. I mean, it's very complex, it's very rich, and it smells kind of what I want from an old ale, although it doesn't look like one, in my opinion. I mean, it looks like an old ale, it just doesn't look like what I want, but it smells like one, so let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, that's pretty nice. First thing I'll say up front is that 11.1%, it's a bit thin. It doesn't have like a nice, I don't need necessarily to be chewy, but I want something that has a thickness to it. This is like higher side of medium body, lower side of full body. 11.1%, I want this reaching full body. I mean, when you have so much malt sweetness here and malt character, I want a bigger body, and it really doesn't have it for me. The The mouthfeel though it's carbonated, but it's a bit undercarbed, probably on purpose, because you don't want a ton of carbonation when it comes to these styles. So it has an ever so slight soft and smooth kind of character on the back end. The taste itself though, I feel like this is a beer that would be great to age. I don't say that a lot about beers because honestly, when it comes to aging beers, I don't know a ton about aging beers. Like I haven't aged enough beers where I'm like, this one will hit the perfect spot at 5 years or 7 years or whatever. I don't age a ton of them. I do have a lot of beers in my cellar, but it's not necessarily because I wanted to, age them and thought they would be at a perfect spot. I didn't buy a case of them and just, go try one each year. But I feel like this one, I think as the years go by, if you tried this 5 years from now, you would have so much complexity in the taste. As is right now, that caramel and toffee is there, a little bit of molasses. I'm not getting really much at all of the port-soaked oak chips. Like there was a vinous note on the nose. There was more of like dark fruit and stuff. This doesn't have like, so many times in old ales I get like, basically like Matt says, it's sugar daddies or like raisinets and things like that, where you're getting, big fruit characters, big dark fruit, raisin and plum and things like that, but they're like covered in caramel or they're covered in chocolate. In this one, it's all about like the caramel, toffee, and molasses. It finishes semi-dry with a decent sweetness, really no bitterness to speak of here. It's a nice beer. Don't get me wrong. This is a nice beer. I do enjoy this one. I do feel, though, the lack of complexity at 11.1% is a bit of a bummer. And I don't remember being... I remember being like super complex when I first had it. Then again, my palate was way different 6 or 7 years ago and things were new to my palate. Now, I'm able to pick up different stuff way better than I used to be, but at the same time, I feel like this one doesn't have as much going on as I want it to have. So this is what I'll say about this one. It's a nice beer. It's well made. I think it's pretty tasty. I do think as this one ages, it's going to develop into something probably quite exquisite, so to speak. I think you'll have more of that richer malt character come forward, maybe even some of that port-soaked oak chip character come to the forefront. This one, I will say this, for 11.1%, this drink's like 8.5, 9. It hides the alcohol relatively well, and I think I paid like, for this bottle, like $3, $3.30, something like that. So for 11.1%, 12-ounce bottle, that's a pretty good deal. So overall, I enjoy this one. I think it's good. I think it lacks complexity as it is right now. I think it'll age well. So I'm not like overly disappointed by this one. I just think maybe I should sit on this one for a couple years, but I want to try it relatively fresh and see what it has going on. I do enjoy this one. Maybe I will grab another one and age it, maybe review it in 2 or 3 years just to see if it's changed. But anyway, rating on the really old brown dog from Smuttynose, I'm going to give that a high 3.75 out of 5. Let's just say like 3.85, 3.9. I don't think it approaches a 4 for me. I think it's well made. I think it's good, but I don't think it's anything that like I would go back to specifically to drink again, purposely just to have. I do think I would buy another one to age though. So appreciate everybody stopping by. If you've had this one before, I would really be interested to know your thoughts on it, especially if you had an older vintage of this, this being, the 2018 vintage technically. I don't know if this is a yearly release or if they just release this whenever, rotating release. But if you've had this vintage specifically or like something within this realm, like say a 2018 release, let me know what you think about it because I'd be curious. I have not really seen anybody else drink this of my friends. So appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review. Till the next one. Cheers.